Greeting YouTube. As the title of this video says, there's always going to be a need for late-term abortions. I know that there are people who disagree with that statement. There are people that disagree with the very concept of abortions at all. But late-term abortions are a special case. They make some people uncomfortable even if they are pro-choice. But the decision to have a late-term abortion is not easy, is not simple to acquire, and there aren't many providers in the United States that do them. We have a population of 313.9 million people in America. There are 3 clinics on the entire continent that do them and only 4 doctors that will admit to openly doing the procedure. Out of a population of 313.9 million, that's amazingly small. I'm going to link to an interview with one Dr. Susan Robinson. She is one of those providers that I mentioned. And she's had people show up from Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, France, people from Canada, people from all 50 states, all needing her services in this regard. Now, to get one, it requires consultation with 2 doctors, a previous doctor and with the doctor performing the procedure itself. And it can take days, 3 to 4 days, for this procedure to be from start to finish. So it isn't a flippant, off-the-cuff, just decided on a whim kind of a situation. That's not how this works. These are situations where the mother's life is at risk. Situations where a fetus is completely and utterly non-viable. Some situations where the woman wasn't aware they were pregnant. And so they went to have an abortion because when they discovered they were pregnant and discovered, hey, you're in late term. And you can be asking, oh, that sounds like some strange reality TV show. Well, not necessarily. I've known women in my life, I dated one, who had approximately 3 periods a year. That's just what she had. There was nothing that was going to change that fact. So she could have been pregnant and not known it for a really long time. And those kind of situations happen in the real world. So does that person just not get an abortion if, she didn't know she was pregnant? And sometimes these events can happen late term. You could be unaware of the fact that, the fetus that the woman is carrying is non-viable until late term. The interview talks about Dr. Robinson being trained in a Catholic hospital, and when giving out the amniotesis results from testing the fetal fluid, the amniotic fluid around the fetus, that if they found any results present that were questionable or might make someone concerned or outside a Catholic hospital, may make them decide to have an abortion, they weren't allowed to bring up that option. They were only allowed to bring up the information so that the potential mother would be warned that there may be a complication with your pregnancy, even though that complication may be your child is not viable at this point. They were told to lie to them. And of course, we've had laws in America here just in the last decade where doctors have been allowed to lie to patients or told to lie to patients. In either case, it's ethical and morally questionable. Being told that you have to lie to a patient, or being told that if you choose to lie to a patient, that you are protected by the law. But here in the real world, where human beings live and breathe, die, late-term abortions will always be with us. And this woman is at risk. I've talked about Dr. George Tiller here in the past. Dr. Tiller was assassinated by a Christian terrorist. There will be people that think that statement's a little over the top, but it isn't. He was assassinated, and the person that did it purely for religious reasons. They were a Christian. They were a terrorist. The goal was to terrorize other doctors and prevent them from performing abortions. That's an act of terrorism. You aren't just attacking an individual. You are attempting to modify the behavior of an entire class of people, in this case, providers of abortions. And yet, Dr. Robinson does her job every day, and sometimes that includes doing late-term abortions. I applaud her and the bravery of the other doctors that do these things. And I hope in the future we have enough providers to take care of what America needs in this regard. I hope the whole world does. There are people who say, you need to draw the line somewhere. And I said, I do draw the line. I have a very firm line. And that line is, I have no business whatsoever putting myself between the decisions of a woman and her doctor. Zero. That's the line I draw. The only fetus that I have control of is the one I carry, which, in my case, would be none. And that's where I stand on this. That is sometimes an unpopular opinion. I accept that. But I don't want anyone else to have the right to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her own body. Now, I have a question I tend to ask abortion opponents, the anti-choice crowd. And I ask them, do you think a woman is a fully autonomous human being? The answer to that question usually sums up the argument rather quickly. So, do you?